Hey, good day, good afternoon, and wherever you are in the world. My name is Marcel Hyde, channel Marcel Mindset.
One, two, three, four.
I want to remind you guys, please hit that subscribe button below, hit that notification bell, because these are episodes that you don't want to miss out on. For those of you out there, if you're lacking in faith, you're lacking in hope, God is there for you. God is willing to guide you and lead you and direct you. Hello, world, and welcome to Marcel Mindset TV, episode 8. Today, we got a very special guest on the show. This guy right here, I grew up with this guy. I used to wake up in the morning, and it used to be 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m., and I used to see this guy walking down the street every single morning. So winners, they're up early, they're committed, and this guy was wide awake in the cold. I saw this guy minus 30 in Toronto, Canada, walking the street. This guy's committed. He's on another level, and you're going to see that here today. Remember, please subscribe to the channel. Click that like button below. We want to get this worldwide. We want people to see this. We want to help people grow because this channel is all about growth. And we want to help you improve that mindset. So I'd like to introduce the winner to the show, Michael Ambrozewicz. How you doing, Mike?
Thanks, Marcel. I'm doing great. Marcel is really humble himself. You know, he hypes people up, but also has to give himself some credit too on what he does.
Thanks, Mike.
But overall, great, man. If I'm happy we were able to connect finally. I know this has been in the talks for quite some time now, and yeah, we just had to make the Eastern Pacific time thing work, but we're here now.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that, man. And this guy, he's from Toronto, Canada, all right? But right now, he's in San Diego, Los Angeles, right? Correct?
Yep, San Diego, California. Correct.
San Diego, California. So right now, he's all in the sunshine. He's got his tan on. But he earned that. He earned his way out down in the States. He put a lot of work in. He was up early. He was committed. He was dedicated. He went to school. He did what he had to do to get to that point. So for our audience out there, I want to introduce you because I know you extremely well, but who is Michael Ambrozewicz?
Yeah, that was a great question. Honestly, Marcel, when we were preparing for this, that was the question that stopped me the most. Sometimes we do forget, who we are in this life, who we want to be, who we embody. And ultimately, I embody a culture of professionalism, discipline, and leading to excellence, right? Some of this may be harsh today, but there's really no excuse for a lot of people out there. And I don't really, let's just say, give too much leeway for people, a lot of excuses. I think, and the reason why is because I just want everyone to fulfill their full potential and achieve what they want to achieve. It is out there for the taking, and our time is very finite, right? Once you start realizing life, every second that you spend on, Netflix, or every second you spend just scrolling on your phone, this is time, like, especially while we're young, that you're losing, you'll never get back, and ultimately getting you further away from your goals. That's a bit of who I embody. In terms of myself, I'm like anybody else. Anybody has a potential to fulfill what they want. Born and raised in Toronto, like 8 houses down from Marcel. We grew up a lot playing, hockey, basketball, everything. And yeah, just saw each other's careers progress and ultimately lead to where they are now. So I've had a few career changes, but most recently, just really hit it off in sales here in California. Made the move from Toronto to California. Sorry, Canadians, but I don't think I'm coming back. It's just too nice out here. But yeah, overall, just wanted to share what I've learned, and how I think everybody just has that potential as well.
Yeah, I love that, Mike. I like how you embody that professionalism you're extremely disciplined, and you exemplify excellence. And if you guys hear Mike, he has that mindset. You know, it's that tough love. You know, he's going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. So I know out there, you know, it's people say it's extremely competitive to make it, you know, at the top or get to a position or even get hired for a role. So I want to ask you, like, how can someone find job opportunities in such a competitive world?
Yeah, that's a great question too. And the first thing I want to outline with that is, job opportunities. You can either see it that way too, right? Job opportunities is for people looking to get in the corporate world as well. We could have a whole nother session on things you can just start if you're the more entrepreneurial type, like Marcel, right? Things that you could start on your own, whether that's, being a social media personality, opening up something as simple as a coffee shop, selling through Amazon. So right, there's also that route as well. But my advice to this applies to both, right? So two things, and first thing you have to accept is life itself is competitive. Like people that think it's straightforward and easy are just setting bad expectations for themselves, and you have to just beat the competition. Like at the end of the day, it sucks to hear, but it's what you have to do. And there's two key things for people looking to enter the job market now that you have to be doing is one is volume and two is differentiation. With volume, what I mean is, are you applying to enough places? Like I hear people, yeah, I can't find any jobs. It's like, well, how many places you applied to? Like two or three. That's just not enough. The best example of that is even my first job out of college. I spent a whole semester applying. I think I applied to 80 plus
Wow.
positions, and one got back to me, and that's the one I ended up with. So, you
Right.
need to one be doing enough volume, making sure you're reaching out to enough people, and two, differentiation, right? Although you get it, my biggest problem with that volume was there's no clear differentiation. So you got to have a story of yourself. What makes you different? Why are you committed to go into this field? Another cool example I have is from someone from my college, at least. They were super into to gold, right? To gold, and they wanted to be a successful sales executive in the corporate world. They reached out, so they were really fascinated with this. And what this person did was found a way. He stood outside the building of a Toronto Stock Exchange listed gold company.
Right.
I think, forget what company it was called, but he stood outside the building one day, waited for the CEO to get out, and just pretty much chased the CEO down, said he wanted a second with him, told him why he thinks he'd be a good fit here.
Right.
And the CEO hired him on the spot.
Right away.
Within 5 years, this guy was VP within
Wow.
the company. So that's an extreme level of differentiation. But overall, if you're putting enough volume in terms of outreach
Right.
and you're differentiating yourself, you won't have any problems finding any opportunities.
Wow. I love that. How bad do you want it? Right. That's what it sounds
Exactly.
like to me. And I like what you said, how life life is competitive. It's a competition. It's very competitive, you know? And I like how you say volume. It's a numbers game. Are you applying to one place and you get turned down, then you throw in the towel? No, it's volume, like Mike said, and you got to be different. You got to differentiate yourself from the pack of people. Why should I choose you? You know what I mean? So thank you for that, Mike. I know you're in the sales game, like you said, and when we hear sales, you know, people are so quick to shut it down, or so quick to push people away, or so quick to think, oh, you're trying to sell me something, or you're trying to cheat me. So I want to know from your perspective, would you recommend sales as a career to our recent graduates looking for employment?
That is a great question as well, Marcel. And the answer I have for that is also harsh, but hey, if you're competitive enough and you think you can compete with us, then yes. But with that, you have a lot of autonomy, flexibility with the sales position. Sales, right, offers you freedom to work wherever you want, right? Most sales jobs now, you don't have to be anywhere. Once in a while, we do have to fly to client meetings, but in the end, that's fun for me. So you get to work wherever you want, meet with clients, usually all expenses paid with these clients, wine and dine. You're able to really control the biggest thing with sales is controlling the amount of income you make. So it is a risk, and it's not for the faint of heart by any means. My first sales job, I took a very significant cut in my base pay, but quickly you realize if you're someone that works hard and really wants to be rewarded on how much you work, then that commission you make will easily outweigh your base plus what you made in the past. So
Right.
yeah, and Marcel, as you said it there too, my first sales job was in the summer of colleges. I was selling LED lighting, and initially taking that position as like, oh, a sales job, but whatever, it's a means to an end. I think the first day in, as soon as I saw that if I work hard, I can easily, it's pretty much up to me how much I make,
Yeah.
that my life changed. And since then, I've just been focused on sales and just working my way up in that field.
Yeah. I love that because you're able to control your income. You know what I mean? And what you put in is what you get out. Sometimes you go to a job, you put so much in, but you're capped at a certain amount. You know what you're making. But if you go all in on this sales game, sometimes you have the opportunity to receive unlimited income. So I like how you took the risk on yourself. Like you said, it's a risk. It could be a huge risk. You may not be seeing anything or may not get anything, but at the end, it's a big reward if you put the time in and you put the work in. So don't be afraid to jump in that sales game, whatever kind of sales you're interested in. So,
Definitely. And Marcel, one thing to add to that as well is, especially if you're a former athlete, Marcel, you get it. You're a former athlete. I used to play hockey competitively. A lot of former athletes do really well in this position just because they know that's how they grew up and that's how
right,
they excelled at what they did, was putting in that extra work. And that's exactly, I see a lot of former athletes go into sales. So honestly, any former athletes out there that are listening to this, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn, Instagram if you find me, or just talk to Marcel and he'll connect you with me. Happy to tell you the options and what it takes to get in.
thanks, Mike. I like that. I like that because mentorship is key, or speaking to someone who's actually in the trenches, in the field, is the best thing to do. Not the guy who's on the sidelines, but the guy who's actually in the game. And you're in the game, Mike, and you're doing well. So, obviously you've been on this journey, right? And you were in Toronto. Now you're over in the States. You played hockey. You went to high school here. You've done your master's. You went to university. You've been on a big journey, right? And I think a lot of people are benefiting right now from your journey because you're based on what you're saying is very impactful. So I want to ask you, what are the things that you have learned on your journey that you would think that would help our audience here today?
Two key things. One, Future said it himself, don't get too comfortable, right? So don't just, there's plenty of times where in my life I've started to feel comfortable, and that's honestly when I know I need to embrace change, whether that's pursuing something new, reaching out internally within a company I'm working at to gain more responsibility. But with any new job, new side gig, new anything you start doing, there's in that initial learning curve, and you do feel very busy. You feel, you don't have time for anything else. But with any of that learning curve definitely improves over time, and you get efficient, and you have time on the side, right? And that's where people start to feel comfortable, right? So I would encourage, once you start feeling that comfort, it can be as simple as, just watch a few YouTube videos on an area that, if you're into fitness, watch a few YouTube
Right.
videos on specifically on, like, training this muscle group or that muscle group. Or if you're into, even if you want to get to something like Amazon drop shipping, right? Watch a few videos on that. I'd always encourage you, just whenever you feel comfortable, find a way to get involved more with your life, and you'll quickly grow out of that discomfort, and you'll realize how much you can actually take on.
Yep.
So that's one key thing.
Right.
And the second is, I know goals are like a lot of mentors, gurus, etc. They preach goals. I'm actually a big fan of overall vision over goals. Goals are definitely important, but vision itself is something that I think just far outweighs that. And Marcel, you mentioned, you'd see me in Toronto very early,
Yeah.
just on a walk, right, clearing my head. Actually, that's the time that I like to think of my vision. And right, and a vision is basically, where do you want to be? What does your dream life look like? What does a fulfilled life look like for you? And a quick practice I do every day. I know also people preach, gratefulness and etc. I definitely, there's a room for that, but focusing on vision, right? Every day I think of, okay, this is what I want my dream life to be. This is what I want to be doing.
Mhm.
Is the day before, did I get closer to that vision or further
Right.
from that vision? And is my today's plan of action, whatever I'm doing, is that getting me closer or further away from my vision? So a daily practice like that, keeping you in check with what you want in life,
Right.
will definitely keep you on track. So just to summarize, don't get too comfortable, and prioritize that vision over little goals, because that's ultimately your North Star, what you're going to get to eventually.
I love that, Mike. I love that. Don't get too comfortable. Shout out to Future, because that is a
Shout out to
real
Future, right?
concept right there, man. Never get too comfortable. All right. Always try to be growing and developing yourself. You know, like Mike said, maybe a YouTube video, maybe reach out to someone who's in a position that you want to be in. Just don't get too comfortable out here. You know what I mean? It's a competitive market. And having that vision. I always talk about vision. You know, you got to see what you want and then go after it. Clear your head. Mike used to wake up 5 a.m. in the morning. I swear it could have been 4 some days where he was out there in minus 30, clearing his head and looking and seeing, where do I actually want to go? You know? So I like that, Mike. I love that actually. So thank you very much. So from the beginning, from the jump, you just have this killer instinct mindset. Like your mindset is elite, you know, and it's special. And I know a lot of people that are going to see this are going to want to embody that, embrace that, and they want your mindset, you know? So my question to you is, what does mindset mean to you, and how do you develop a strong mindset?
Yeah. So mindset is simply, in my opinion, my definition, is the ability to influence your environment in a way that allows you to get what you want
Mhm.
out of your life, right? Like it is sometimes just, ruthless out there. But you do want to,
Mhm.
ultimately, everyone wants to pursue their goals and get what they want out of a life. So
Right.
a strong mindset is the ability for you to think clearly, have that vision, and ultimately influence that external environment to get what you want, right? And
Wow.
it takes, developing that is not, it's not, don't believe people are born with it. It's just developed through
Yep.
experience. And
Right.
by keeping keeping that vision, right, each day seems like a new opportunity. If you think your vision every day, you know that each day is an opportunity.
Right.
And life is harder for certain people, easier for certain people, but overall it's up and down for people depending on their experience, right? you want to think of you want to think of that as, try to frame that in a way that, okay, whatever is happening is inevitable, and it's going to happen no matter what. So it's really, at that point, it's really up to me. If I know that this is something that is going to happen no matter what, no matter how bad it is, it's inevitable. But that allows me to frame it in a way that, okay, it's inevitable, but how am I going to make the most of it? Am I going to let it crush me, or am I going to just learn from it and move on?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
ultimately, that mindset, as even junior reps speaking with work, sometimes we mentor junior reps coming on. The biggest thing I say is, you're gonna lose some sales, you're gonna win some sales,
Right.
but the ones that you'll learn most from, the ones that hurt most, learn most, affect you emotionally the most, are the losses,
Yeah.
right? And the best reps are the ones that take those losses at the start and
Right.
prevail later on and decrease those mistakes going forward. But even the best, right, we're still gonna have ups and downs. But by framing it in a way that makes it inevitable, you really start focusing on how you can make the most of it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I like that. I really, really like that, guys. Rewind this about a minute and a half and just let that sink in and let that be programmed into your mind. You know what I mean? You're gonna get knocked down. Every day is an opportunity. You might get a no, you might get knocked down, you might not close a deal, but guess what? You get back up. You keep getting back up. You don't stop. You get the mentorship, you get the coaching. You just don't give up on yourself. Thank you, Mike. So I want to transition a little bit to a taboo topic, that at the dinner table they say we don't discuss or not supposed to discuss. In our educational system here, for our American viewers, maybe you guys get introduced to money earlier than the Canadians, but we here in our educational system don't get taught about money. So a lot of people are struggling with money. They don't understand money. Financial literacy doesn't exist. So from your understanding, what are some things that you have learned about money that you would like to share to our audience?
Biggest thing, Marcel, and I'm sure you can test as well, is just start researching where you can put your money towards. Start researching assets that make you returns.
Right,
But don't make it too complex, and research for months. Just go for it. Invest in a fund that pays on average 5 to 10% return. That's a
right,
good start. But the quicker you get your money on there, the quicker you'll see returns. Uh, Controversial opinion as well. I know you're asking for just overall what we'd like to share about money with the audiences.
Sure.
Too many people, two, one, two, two plus multiple. If you just develop a second stream of income, you're right. If you rely on one source of income, your chances are you're going to have trouble. You're not going to want that. You're not, it's not going to sustain a lifestyle you want. So honestly, a second source of income, whether that's something on the side, there's, like I said, we could do a whole episode on
Yeah.
ways you can make money on the side, would solve a lot of people's problems, right? And once you learn how to start something on the side, right, you can expand that to multiple things on the side, and you see how quickly that just grows. And so the whole point with this is you want to focus on earnings, right? You want to focus on earnings, and that will solve a lot of problems in itself. Also, just a big thing I see a mistake that people do is they don't focus on the areas that matter. And
Mhm.
by that, what I mean is, I have plenty of examples, but like, my friend's mom used to drive across Toronto to save 10 cents on gas a liter, right? Not knowing the costs of time and everything. Or, you just have people cutting back on certain expenses, even though they make them happy, right? Like for example, my girlfriend and I, we like to get nice dinners. We'll lavishly spend on dinners because it's what we like, right?
Right.
A lot of people, even though it's what they like, they'll think, oh, that's where I need to save, just cut expenses on, when
Right.
in reality, if you focused on other areas, such as big one is salary negotiation, right? People, that is a 30-minute conversation that can increase your annual earnings anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000. A 30-minute you focus on that 30 minutes to get
Right.
a higher salary, you're easily covering those dinners that you save. So
Right.
as I said, some of the stuff might be a bit controversial, but I honestly don't encourage too much. If you really like something, find a way to
Yeah.
increase your earnings, increase your income, and make that work. Because that's life is short, and at the end, you want to be able to afford those things,
Exactly.
albeit recklessly, not recklessly, right? Like you don't want, if you're in college and you're working at McDonald's, like don't get a Ferrari and then figure it out later, right? Don't finance that. You want to make it reasonable, but I always encourage, if you like something, make a plan on
Right.
how to increase your income to make that work. And if that
Exactly.
doesn't work, then focus on things you can cut back on. And the
Right.
things you don't enjoy, like if you're, for example, if you're someone that's not into to clothes, right? If you like lavish dinners but you're not into clothes, let's say, don't buy designer clothes. Like find clothes that you enjoy that are
Exactly.
more affordable, and cut back on expenses there, but spend on the things you like. So
Right. I like that.
that's a great start. So just summarize as well. Start investing somewhere. Find a
Right.
second stream of income or
Right.
more, and then focus on the things that matter. Like salary negotiations, an easy start. Next time you're in a salary negotiation, do your research, get prepared, and you'll easily negotiate an extra $5,000 to $20,000 on top of what you were expecting
Right.
to get out of that job.
Right. I like that because a lot of people have the mindset where they're like, there's not enough money, or I don't have enough money, or I'm running out of money. If you're running out of money or there's not enough money, it's not your job, it's you. Like Mike said, there's second sources of income. What are you good at? Find the skills within yourself. Maybe you're good at consulting in something you're already doing, right? You could do that on the side with other people, or you can invest in something that's going to pay you 5 to 10%, right? And then focus on your own earnings, negotiate. So there's always a way to make money, right? You just got to have that mindset. So I love that, Mike. Thank you very much.
Of
And
course.
remember, make a plan. That's the key, is making a plan of action. All right. So I want to kind of transition into mental health, because right now, mental health is at an all-time high. People are struggling with anxiety, depression. There's so much going on because we just came out of a pandemic that affected people's mental health. So I also on this channel want to acknowledge mental health, and I want to help people who are struggling with mental health, because we all have a mental health. So in your opinion, how do you manage your mental health, and how do you think, or what are some things that you could give to people that they can help manage their own mental health?
Yeah. Another question that definitely stopped me as well, Marcel, I'm sure as growing up in, just growing up in the time we did, and immigrant parents,
Yeah.
overall, the growing up in a competitive like sports environment,
Yeah.
mental health is usually, especially in a guy's environment. When we were
Yeah.
growing up, it's something that was not
Mhm.
not important, and
Mhm.
it was meant to. It was really downplayed.
Yep.
It is very important though, and there it depends on the individual, right? So for myself, just staying disciplined is actually,
Mhm.
that is also not typical for most people, but just staying disciplined and focusing on what I need to do rather than what I want to do
Mhm.
is it helps me know that give the satisfaction to myself that I'm doing enough. And then also a big thing as well, I talked about time and like what people waste their time on, but if you do like a certain series on Netflix or whatever, or, you like Instagram or any of that, I'm a fan of both. Just find time, get what you need to get done, make a plan,
Right.
and pencil in some of those times, whether that's once every few days, once a day,
Right.
pen, just reasonably. Like I, for example, try to stay off Instagram for the working hours, and I'll scroll through 15 to 30 minutes later
Okay.
on in the day, squeeze in a episode of Netflix. So that's one way. So, you know, find that time, make a plan, and just find time to include those entertainment activities that you enjoy.
Right.
And then I think for mental health, there also needs to be a more active type of recovery, and that's what we talked about with like vision. Vision helps
Mhm.
your mental health be in check. Fitness for me, Marcel, I'm sure you as well. We used to
Oh
grind
yeah.
together in the gym,
Oh yeah.
but fitness is probably the
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people can relate to this, but that is my number one
Yeah.
way to manage my mental health.
Mhm.
Recently had an injury and it was devastating. It showed me how much of a impact fitness had on my mental health. So have an act, and for some people it might be different. Like if you like art, paint pictures, whatever, a few times a day,
Yep.
or it once a day or something, or write poetry. Like these things are all things that help manage mental health. There's just a clear distinction between something that's active and like actively doing something, and then something that also incorporates the entertainment side of life that you want in your day as well, as long as you're getting what you need to get done.
I love that, Mike. Thank you so much. Because mental health is such an important topic, and we want to see people healthy mentally. So you got to find whatever it is, healthy things to manage your mental health because you're going to go through mental health stuff in your life. It's inevitable. Mental health is a part of us. So whether that be fitness, writing, painting, staying disciplined, make sure you're paying attention to your mental health because that's going to affect your day-to-day life. All right. So on this channel, we want to help our younger audience, because I personally wish somebody had come to my school and spoke to me. They stood up in that auditorium and said, hey, life is like this, or life is like that, or make sure you do this now, because if you do this now, 10 years from now, you'll be set up. Maybe I did hear it, I wasn't listening. But for our younger audience out there, the ones in high school, if you were speaking to a group of high school students, what are three things you would tell them, Mike?
Three biggest things. We'll start with the first one is just focus on excellence day in, day out with everything you do, especially at that age, right? Start developing that honestly mindset around, whatever I'm going to do it the best I can,
Yeah,
and I'm going to do it better than anyone else. If
yeah,
you focus doing everything in your life like that, then whatever you try to pursue in the future, you'll have that same mentality. It'll be trained, it'll be ready to go. And, you'll just be way ahead of other people. So focus on excellence day in, day out. I know as high school, Marcel, I probably slacked, being in sports with the academic side, but
big time.
yeah, so even that math class, right? Do the best you can in it. You might not be the best, but if you just focus on doing the best you can, balancing other things,
Yeah,
then what you have after high school will just be totally easy.
I like
So that's
that.
the first. Yeah, for sure, for sure. The second would be take risks. Don't be afraid to take risks. I and sometimes in high school, right? And this is also tough, right? A lot of parents, mentors, teachers, etc. They try to push you towards what traditionally has made the most money and
Right.
it feels that made the most money. And even though you might not enjoy it. So if that's something you want to do, by all means go for it, but don't be afraid to take risks, right? Especially while you're young.
Yeah.
If you want to start, a YouTube channel with your friends on the side, go for it. Start that. If you want to do a sales job in the summer as high school, you know,
Mhm.
some people might say, oh, sales, you don't want to go into sales. Take that risk. Take that risk. You heard this podcast. Take that risk. So overall, don't be afraid to take risks. I just think even what worst case, it doesn't end up well. So you learn something valuable and you'll just be way more prepared for the easier things in life. And then finally, and this is something I know Marcel and I struggle with, is just being, and a lot of my friends that are very driven, very passionate about what they do, is just be patient, right? Like we both want, I know Marcel, you and I both want everything now. And
Yeah, today,
a
yeah,
big, yeah, but yesterday, exactly. And back to mental health, it's like, that's the biggest thing. Like every day, it's like, am I doing enough? Have I done enough? Why isn't, this, why aren't I making this much amount of money yet? Why, what's going on here? Like every day I have that dilemma is, am I doing enough? In high school, just be patient. It's something I struggle with. So I'm preaching to the choir, but right, it takes time to mature. It,
yeah,
it takes a lot of time to mature. Like I don't even think I've fully matured yet. I'm in late 20s. But you know what I mean? Like we're always maturing. And two, uh, just start developing skills slowly in an area you're interested in. Just start, and that stuff will compound. But the earlier you start, the better. And then patience will ultimately lead you to somewhere where you're an expert in that field, hopefully by, our age, Marcel.
yeah, yeah. That's extremely powerful, extremely powerful. So you guys want to make sure that you're focusing on excellence. And I like how you said even the math class, because that will translate. If you're trying to be the best in the math class, that's going to translate to if you're on the hockey arena or if you're on the basketball court. It's all transferable. If you're trying to be good in one area, it's going to come over to the other area. So focus on excellence and take risks. Like Mike said, don't be afraid to take that risk, because a lot of times you might say, I want to start a YouTube channel to your parents, and they may say to you, that's wild or that's crazy. But you know what? If that's your vision and that's what you see, go for it. Don't be afraid. That's not what they see because that's not their vision. So it's okay to take risk. Or if you want to get into sales, but both your parents are doctors, they may tell you become a doctor, but you want to go in sales because you know what? Doctors maybe have a ceiling and sales doesn't, and you believe you can surpass that. So you got to follow what your heart is saying to you. And like Mike said, you gotta stay patient. I heard this saying, it says patience is a virtue. And I really am starting to understand that. I want things yesterday, but guess what? It's gonna take time. And if I'm not patient, like Mike said, it's really gonna affect your mental health. So those are very key points. So thank you, Mike, for adding so much value right now, man. We got guys, you guys are getting the treat. I didn't even like this is today, number 8, episode 8. Rest in peace to Kobe. This is a special episode, man. Like something in the universe is happening because this is my best episode. This is so to date, and
Rest in peace, Kobe. Though that is, speaking of excellence, like that's a clear example of that. There,
yeah,
I'm sure you and I can draw a lot of conclusions from him.
100%, 100%. That was a man who was dedicated, he was focused, and he was all about excellence. And he had vision, he had goals, and he was determined. He had it all. And he had that work ethic, and he had the mindset, Kobe Bryant. So I want to ask you, because a lot of people, let's say, there's a lot of mentors out there, right? And some of them may be out of reach, or we can't afford them, or we just think we could do everything by ourselves. So how important is mentorship, and how can someone find a mentor?
That is a great question. And yeah, a lot of people, like once again, people that are driven, successful, or just looking to get the most of life. We also have that mentality where we do think we can do everything on ourselves. And I was very much like that as well. Just a side story as well. Mentorship is actually what ultimately got me to work in the US, right? Like everybody thought it was impossible, like the whole immigration situation. I'm a strong mentor. Got connected with a strong mentor and ultimately helped me get here. So, if that's not proof as to why, it's just a small example as to why I think it's important. The other thing is you just don't know what you don't know, and a mentor can help you achieve that. Yeah, you want to say anything there, Marcel?
No, I'm just taken aback by
Yeah.
don't know what you don't know. That's a bar. But go ahead, Mike.
Exactly. But yeah, you don't know what you don't know, and with that, you don't know all the opportunities in front of you if you don't have someone that's been through that. To find one, I would say there are tons of resources online that can connect you with a mentor, but like be better than that. Like that's your last resort. Get creative. And this is what I talked about, how, like everything is competitive, right? And to get the best mentors, you have to differentiate. You have to be reaching out enough. If you want to be like a fitness personality, reach out on Instagram, like DM personal trainers, famous people, that are fitness influencers. DM them something creative as to why you'd want to learn from them, why you think they could help.
Right.
You reach out to enough people, you'd be surprised at how many people will take you up on your offer. They'll be honored to even do it for free too, right? Like the mentorship is not something that, you know, they'll do it for free. You don't want to pay for that, and you'll find someone. If you differentiate yourself enough, tell a compelling story, you'll be connected with someone. If you want to get in the corporate world, become a CEO, literally get on LinkedIn and just start messaging CEOs. I guarantee if you message 20 to 30 CEOs with a compelling story, you'll get one or two that come back to you and that will offer to take a call with you, have calls monthly. So there's always an easy way. Anyone can go online, find a mentor with a website that connects you with one. But I would say invest that time, tell a compelling story, send a personalized message, and just find a way to connect with someone that you ultimately want to become.
Yeah, that's great, guys. Thank you, Mike. Because a lot of people, they either try to reinvent the wheel, or you know what I mean? Like, we live in a digital world, guys. We live in a digital world. There's always a way to find a mentor. And I like how Mike said, you don't know what you don't know. There's somebody out there that is doing exactly what you want to do or want to accomplish. There's someone in that position, CEO, YouTuber, podcaster, fitness influencer, already making money, already in that position. They probably started where you are. Maybe they were in their mom's basement, or maybe they were living in their living room, or maybe they were in a crappy apartment, excuse my language. But you gotta find a mentor, because they're gonna put you maybe on the right path or in the right direction, or let you know about things that you don't know about, that is going to help you achieve all your goals. So thank you for that, Mike. So
100%.
thanks, bro. So we're actually coming to kind of the end of the podcast, and I have another final question to ask you. And I just want to, take a minute to say thank you. I'm going to thank everybody that's listening to this podcast, first of all, but I also want to thank you, and I want to acknowledge you, because I've seen you grow and mature. And you said you weren't mature, but man, you're more mature than some 50-year-olds that I know, right? So I just want to pay my respect to you, and keep staying on your journey. You've accomplished a lot, and I know you're so driven, man. Like, this is not the end for you. Like, I know you're gonna go so far. Like, I see major things for you. You know what I mean? Like, I see this background. Like, you guys are gonna see this background, and I can see your house. You got a mansion. Overseeing the water, and I see that vision for you. I just really see massive things for you. So I'm happy that I actually get the opportunity to interview you, because you're so busy, and like, we're gonna look at this 5 to 10 years from now and be like, wow. And you're gonna see Mike as a leader in the world. I believe that, a strong leader in the world, and you're going to influence a lot of people out there. So thanks, Mike.
Of
So
course, Marcel's gonna, just for the audience there, Marcel's gonna have in the background there, that mansion. He's gonna have a little investment property beside that. So
thanks,
yeah,
brother.
no, appreciate that. And yeah,
Yeah,
what Marcel is doing, everybody definitely, if you want to just get the most of what you want in life, and you want to develop just that killer mentality Marcel talks about, then you got to subscribe here. You got to listen to these. You got to listen to Marcel. You got to listen to the interviewees he has on, and you'll learn a lot. But it might sound silly sometimes, just mindset. Like, how does that change my life? But ultimately, it's what separates the people that get what they want out of life from the people that don't.
yeah. Oh, that's truth. Thanks, Mike. I like that. So the final question that I have for you here is, when you hear these words, what comes to your mind? All right. So I'm going to name a few words here. Wealth.
Wealth,
Yes, sir.
wealth. Well, first thing with wealth is that it's starkly different from rich, right? Anybody can rich to me is how you portray yourself to the outside world. So, flashy car, designer clothes, cool sunglasses, nice jewelry. That to me is anybody can look rich. Wealth is though truly the empire that you build for yourself, that allows you to get what you want and live the life you want. So just clarifying that there, wealth is that overall, that empire, that foundation you have to be able to live. And if you want to live a rich life, You need wealth to do that. But at the same time, these people can portray themselves as rich and not have that wealth behind them. So that's the stark difference. You want to definitely build up your wealth as much as possible. Make sure that foundation is solid so that you're just set. And ultimately, future, if you're planning to have kids, your future generations are set as well, right? That's eventually Marcel will get to the point where we are responsible for others as well. And
Yep.
I want to set them up with the best opportunities that they can,
Yep.
and ultimately just live a life that a lot of people aren't able to. So while
Yep.
still learning the lessons that they need to, but yeah, eventually gets to that point where you want to be able to hand off that nest egg to that next generation. Just keep that going.
Love that. Financial freedom.
Financial freedom. That's a great one. So my girlfriend and I, we do have a pretty expensive lifestyle, and if we had more, we'll get there very soon. I'm fully confident of it. But not only do we have an expensive lifestyle now, but we want even more than we do now. And some people may look down on that, but personally, it's just what we like, and it's what we wanted. What we want to do, and we'll find a way to make that work. Right? There's already a lot of things in the work. We're already finding ways to make that happen. But ultimately, financial freedom is the ability to live the lifestyle that you want comfortably, and comfortably is the key word there. You don't want to be stressed, and that's by having financial freedom. You live the lifestyle you want, stress free, you're comfortable. And yeah, for those that do want to live an expensive lifestyle, I encourage it. Just find a way to make it work.
I love that. Assets.
Assets, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. Stocks, business, investments, real estate. So these are simply things that appreciate over time and actually help you build that wealth, that first thing we talked about. So buying a house, investing in bonds, buy stocks, even cryptocurrency, right? Like that's something I'm heavily involved in. These are things that you're confident, and real estate, especially more than others, you're confident that'll appreciate over time. Some are riskier than others, but these are things that you can purchase now and will eventually set you up for more wealth in the future. They'll appreciate over time. They'll make you money. There's tons of things. Like I said, that's a whole nother session, but assets is something that you put your money into and you can expect a return from, and more on top of that as well.
Oh, okay, that's powerful. And liabilities.
Liabilities. So I'll mix it up. Liabilities obviously are there's always a negative connotation behind liabilities. I actually think some liability, and that's the thing. Some liabilities are stupid, right? Like credit card debt. You don't want to be in credit card. Like pay that off ASAP and find a way to pay that off. But some liabilities are good. So for example, right now I'm in that situation where do I purchase a house, or do I rent, right? Rent to some is a liability. For now, rent to me is extremely valuable in the sense that it allows me to live where I want. It allows me to test out places I want to live. It also, biggest thing there is it allows me to use the money that's not going into real estate right now for, right, that whole, because it's a lot of money to put down for other
Mhm.
areas that you can make money, whether that's opening a business,
Right.
investing in ads for your business.
Right.
So you always have to do that trade-off of, okay, if I do decide to rent, am I, and the key thing is here is, the money I save from not putting a down payment on a house, am I using that appropriately? Is that making me enough money? So rent, like I said, is a liability. Also, even like a car payment, right? Like if you negotiated,
Mhm.
uh, and I'm not saying get a $100,000 car, but if you, instead of paying 20K all out for a car, if you finance that, that monthly savings that you get, especially if you get a good agreement in, the monthly savings you get from financing a car allow you to invest in other areas of your life. You have more left over to save. So I'm saying overall liabilities can seem very bad, but
Right.
it's all about how you use the what type of situation you're in, and how you use that money saved from financing through liabilities
Mhm.
to ultimately increase your wealth, and ultimately purchase assets with that money saved over. So summarizing there as well, there are definitely bad liabilities,
Right.
but there's also good ones, and
Right
it's
there.
controversial to hear, but yeah, right now I'm sure our generation can relate. Rent versus buy a house is probably the
Yeah.
best example of that. It's
Exactly.
a tough decision.
Extremely. Thanks. Thank you, Mike. That was extremely powerful. Man, You've added so much value. And I want to say I learned so much here today. And I know people that are watching this are going to want to reach out to you. So how can our audience reach out to you?
Few ways. Instagram is probably the best way, at energymindset. Marcel, if you maybe put a little link into that as well. My email, right, Michael Ambrozewicz at gmail.com. I'm sure half of you will mess up the last name, so maybe just go via Instagram. But yeah, that's probably the best way. And if not, just Marcel is a resourceful guy. I'm sure he'll be able to connect you. So yeah, you can ask me for advice, but a lot of things too. Like I said, Marcel is humble. I'm sure he could help you with a lot as well. So I'd reach out to him for his services as well. We're just, both Marcel and I are regular people. We just have that mindset that allows us to get more of what we want in life. And, I just don't see room for excuses with a lot of people. Just simply, find a way to develop that.
Right.
And yeah, live the life you want to live. Don't make excuses as to why you can't achieve that.
Thanks, Mike. There is no excuses out here. And Mike has none, and he's going for it all. So thank you, Mike, for coming to the show. Episode 8. It was a special one. Remember, guys, hit that like button below. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys are watching these episodes so you can develop and grow as a person. Mike, it's been a pleasure. Thank you again. I wish you nothing but success. And I'd love to jump on this podcast in a few years to see how you've developed and grown. Thank you, my friend, and take care.
Love it, Marcel. And we'll definitely, when I'm back in Toronto, we'll meet up and share this as well. And then 10 years from now, I wonder how this whole conversation we got to hold ourselves accountable. We've had this conversation. We got to aim higher now.
I love it, brother. Thank you. I love the mindset. Michael Ambrozewicz. Heard it here today. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcel.
Take care.